Welcome to Sound Off with System One. I'm your host, Krista Kornchuk, and I'm here today with our recruiting experts to speak with you about why you should use a recruiter for your job search. Before we get started, here are a few words about System One. System One is a leading provider of specialized, highly technical outsourced services and workforce solutions to critical infrastructure, technology, life sciences, and government sectors, putting more than 650 employees and 10,000 contractors to work in the United States, Canada, and the UK. As you're tuning in today, please join us in the comments. Our marketing team will be monitoring them. Let us know where you're joining from and what industry you work in. And if you have any questions related to today's topics, we'd love to hear them. Next, I'm going to have our panel of experts introduce themselves. They'll also be sharing a hot job, which you can view by scanning the QR code or by visiting jobs.system1.com. Eileen, we'll start with you.
Hi, my name is Eileen Leek. I've been with Jolet for well over 20 years working inside research, and we are really in need of a clinical research coordinator who has a background in cardiology. Cardiology is really important. So if you live in northern Massachusetts or New Hampshire, give us a call.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Horn. I'm a recruiter specialist with Jolet, and my hot job is a maintenance mechanic in Glen, PA in the food and beverage manufacturing industry.
And I'm Melissa Chambers. I'm an account manager with Alta IT, and my job right now is a data engineer located in Frederick, Maryland.
Awesome. And if you're interested in any of these roles, make sure you connect with our recruiters. And without further ado, we're going to get started with our first question. Why should job seekers use a recruiter instead of applying directly online? Alyssa, we'll start with you.
Sure. So working with a recruiter really gives you that direct access to hiring managers in a job that might never get posted online. So instead of getting stuck in like an online black hole, we get your resume in front of those decision makers pretty quickly, which,
And you should also use a recruiter just because you'll more likely get contacted by a recruiter rather than an internal hiring team. Recruiters also bring in-depth knowledge of the role, the company, and if the original position that you reached out for isn't a fit, recruiters have insight to other opportunities that could match a candidate's background, ultimately providing more options.
And a big thing is relationships. A lot of time it's not what you know, but who you know. And usually recruiters have a great connection with the hiring managers, and it's a one-on-one relationship.
Well said. And in this market, you cannot replace that one-on-one relationship. Our next question, what's the biggest misconception candidates have about working with recruiters? Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So I think a big misconception candidates could have is that recruiters are unresponsive and maybe don't care as much. And then they can also think recruiters hold all the power throughout the recruitment process. But that, in fact, relies on the hiring team, the changes that happen to the role throughout the recruitment process. Recruiters are partners with candidates throughout the entire process to find the best long-term fit for them.
I would also add another big misconception is that recruiters take a cut of your salary. That's not true. Our clients are usually the ones who pay for our services, not the candidates. So just something to keep in mind.
And kind of going off of the money thing too, I think a lot of times people think that we make $40 an hour and then turn around and charge our clients $200 an hour. And so our profit margin is unreal. And that's just not the way it works these days. Lots of companies give us a percentage that we can, only bill so much higher than a bill rate. So it's not as profitable as I think sometimes candidates think that we make a lot of money.
And what are some things recruiters know about the job market that candidates usually don't? Alyssa, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so we're usually looking at, hiring trends every day. We all know how fast roles are moving, what skills are in high demand, and, even what salaries look like across, both federal and commercial IT. So we usually know, we also know when, projects are going to kick off with our clients. So we can let you know about those too.
Yeah, kind of following up on that, it's the whole relationship, earlier. We know what the groups are doing. We know whether they're going to have budget cuts, whether they're going to have major hiring happening. So again, it goes back to that relationship and just knowing the day in, day out of the group.
Yeah, and similar to what was mentioned, recruiters have insight to potential openings that might not be posted to any job board. Recruiters are also aware of hiring timelines for companies and, give candidates realistic expectations as far as how fast hiring managers move in the process for feedback, and as well as, salary and hourly expectations.
Fantastic. And I am seeing a question from someone in the audience. Jackie is wondering, what does a recruiter really do behind the scenes that candidates don't see? Really good question, Jackie.
I can kick it off. I think it's just
That's
the
actually a
amount
great
of
question.
sourcing.
Go ahead, Eileen, and then Matt, you can go after.
Sorry about that, Matt. I think a lot of it is, it's the relationships. It's most of the time the clients that we work with are not brand new to us. They're managers that we've worked with in the past. We do a lot of helping candidates kind of revamp their resume and make their resume stick out a little bit more. It's working with the clients on budgets and how much they really can pay and what the market's looking like. It's a lot of education on both sides for candidates and clients.
And Eileen pretty much cleaned up what I was going to say there, so that's awesome.
Oops.
That's okay. There is nothing wrong with that. All right. Our next question, how do recruiters advocate for candidates during the hiring process? Eileen, we'll start with you.
Yeah, once again, it's all about the relationship. If we send a resume, recruiters have had conversations with these candidates. We know what they're capable of. We know their skill set. Maybe it doesn't come out very well on the resume. The manager can ask questions. And so we have that relationship of being able to advocate for our candidates and let the managers know why we think they're a good fit for their position.
Yeah, and recruiters have that initial conversation with the candidates, so they're able to get the detailed backstory of the candidate, their job history, any job gaps they might have, and be able to share that with hiring managers. They're also really able to outline, strengths and, again, fill in any holes that candidates have in their work history.
Yeah, I think Matt really covered that one.
Yeah, well said. And what makes a candidate stand out when you're screening hundreds of resumes? That's a great question for this market. Alyssa, we'll start with you.
Sure. I think, what really makes a candidate stand out is when they have clear, relevant experience and real results. And I also would say when a resume shows the tools you've used, the technologies your certifications, and the projects you've worked on, it really jumps to the top of the pile.
Yeah, similar to Alyssa, I mean, the relevant experience always sticks out. But then to me, also candidates that have really stable work history are at positions for an extended amount of time, prove to be dependable employees. They also, typically have polished, easy to read resumes as well.
That's just what I was going to say about the polished, the whole keep it simple. Sometimes we get beautiful resumes with great colors and great graphics. But sometimes it comes up funny on our email or when we open it. So the simpler the resume, the better it is.
Awesome. And we're getting more audience questions. I'm getting a few questions about choosing a recruiter. So is there a specific recruiter at System One we need to work with depending on our background or skill set? Good question, Janice.
So I can answer that for my group. Jolie, we focus all clinical studies, clinical research on the operational side. So not the scientific side. We have other groups that do the scientific, but the way we're split out is we all kind of have our specialty and we all kind of know. And so if somebody reaches out to me and that may be a regulatory individual, I am not an expert when it comes to regulatory, but I have a couple of coworkers that are, and I refer them over and I make the introduction myself. So we're very big at Jolie on making sure that we put the candidate with the right recruiter.
Well said. Oh, go ahead, Alyssa.
I was going to say, I would say Alta IT is about the same. We do IT focused roles. So most of our recruiters can handle anything within the IT space. So it's not really a specific recruiter that we would send someone to.
Yeah, and while System One is a large company, we all are really close and we work with each other. So if you're confused on who to talk to, reach out to one of us and we'll certainly refer you to the right person. Our next question, how do you match candidates to roles beyond just keywords on a resume? Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I mean, personality fit and communication skills are a huge thing that we can pick up in initial screenings, just to determine, the overall culture fit of how a candidate might fit with a company, the team dynamics, maybe if they're a little bit more reserved or if they're a little more outgoing. We can kind of match those candidates based off of, those details in the initial screening.
And one thing to remember, the reason you write a resume is to have keywords and is to get us to call you. So while it's very important to have the keywords on there, so I do want to have a conversation with you, it's also really important that once we get on the phone is when you kind of let your personality shine and the personal skills that's a little bit more difficult to do on a resume.
And lastly, I would just add in, we do look at the full picture and the candidate's long-term goals. So that's something we also keep in mind when we're matching candidate to roles.
And we have a question coming in from Met. She wants to know, how do we get in contact with you?
I can speak for myself. If you want to add me on LinkedIn, I will be happy to send you my email, my phone number, whatever works best.
Same with me. If you're inside research, whether you're operational or scientific, I can get you to the right person.
As well.
Easy. All right. Make sure you connect with our recruiters. Their profiles are in the comments. Our next question, how can a recruiter help a candidate position themselves better in today's job market? Eileen, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, again, I keep pressing this, it's all about the relationship. While we try very hard to have a good relationship with our clients, it's also very important that I personally have a good relationship with my candidate. If it's a position that I can't help you now, I might be able to help you in the future, and we can keep in touch about updating a resume. I can help you with interview tips. I know lots of people in the area are within our specialty, and so maybe there's another job that I can't help you with that I may know about. So it's all about the relationship.
Yep. And similar to Eileen, I mean, recruiters can give advice on, interview strategies to help get that best outcome possible. But then, even before an interview process, a recruiter can advise on the specific keywords that companies, hiring managers want to see in the resume to increase the chances of getting that initial interview.
Yeah, I definitely think Matt and Eileen covered that one.
Absolutely, they did. And when it comes to resumes and LinkedIn, what helps you help them and what should candidates optimize? Alyssa, we'll start with you.
I would say for resumes, just having a clear tech stack per role would be really helpful, and also just having bulleted accomplishments even. And then for LinkedIn, obviously a headline that matches your desired role, a professional photo, updated skills and endorsements. Those are all super helpful.
More so for me, for LinkedIn, I do LinkedIn a lot, is to keep it current. Lots of people don't think about keeping LinkedIn current and keeping it up to date, but consider it as another social media tool that you use. It's just super important that, when I look at it, it's accurate.
Yeah. Excuse me. And candidates, should also show clearly what they do, what they're good at, and, what they want next. Also, having a strong about section is also very helpful. Brief story, some specialties, career goals as well. And then similar to Eileen, making sure everything is up to date and accurate.
Absolutely. And if you want more help on optimizing your LinkedIn, make sure you check out our newsletter. We have some great blogs on there, as well as past Sound Off with System One episodes. We have a lot of great resources. We're getting a question in from Michelle. She wants to know, when working with a candidate, how often are you checking in with the candidate, or how often do you want them following up with you? Great question.
Yeah, so I can jump in here. As far as checking in with me, as much as possible, as much as you're comfortable with, I'm always good with. Obviously, maybe not 5 calls a day, but once every other day, something like that. And then as far as me checking in with candidates, as soon as I have information to share, I'm always checking in with candidates and letting them know what's going on, and just, kind of keeping them in the loop during the process.
I'd say that's one thing that I'm most proud of about this company. I've worked for a couple of different ones, and they really push communication, and they push communication with our candidates. And so I tell my candidates, you can text me, you can email me, you can call me whenever, if you're getting nervous or, whatever, feel free to call me. And then similar to Matt, if the minute I get any sort of feedback, I reach out right away and let them know.
Yes, I agree with both Matt and Eileen on that one. As soon as possible and as much as possible.
Yep.
Absolutely. And our last question, what should candidates not do when working with recruiters? Eileen, we'll start with you.
So again, it goes back to kind of what I spoke about just a few minutes ago in answering Michelle's question is just open communication. Be honest. Don't feel like you need to hide something. Don't feel like if you tell us that you're interviewing at another place, we're not going to represent you, because that's not the case. Just always have open communication and clear, concise honesty.
Yeah, I think it's also important for candidates to really not have a slow response rate when it comes to getting in touch with a recruiter. Obviously, candidates have things going on. They might be employed at the time, so they can't be at their phone all times. But I think, being responsive to your recruiter shows an extra level of commitment and, how serious you are about the job opportunity. And I also think it's really big for candidates not to ghost recruiters, because even if the role they're discussing isn't a fit for the candidate at that point, there might be a role that's awesome and down the line in the future. And if you ghost the recruiter, I apologize, you might end up messing up that relationship.
And then lastly, I would just add in, don't apply to the same role directly if possible after we submit you, just because that can create some conflict.
Well said. We're out of time for today, so thank you to our panel and thanks to everyone that commented. Don't forget to follow System One on LinkedIn if you're not already, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can view past episodes there. Make sure you tune in to Sound Off with System One every first and third Friday at 2 p.m. Our next episode will be Friday, December 5th, and we'll be hosting a live Q&A. See you then.